Forest Hills, New York, August 28th, 1965. Evening. The tennis stadium holds 15,000 people who paid to see Bob Dylan. Most of them want Blowin' in the Wind. Dylan has not played it in 4 months. He stands backstage in a black leather jacket, smoking while the acoustic set ends and roadies bring out amplifiers. Someone from the festival committee approaches. Can he play The Times They Are A-Changin' for the second half? Dylan does not look at him. No. Why not? Because I don't want to. The man persists. The audience expects it. Dylan exhales smoke. Then they shouldn't have come. 20 minutes later, Dylan takes the stage with an electric band. The booing starts before he plays a note. He opens with Tombstone Blues. Then, I Don't Believe You. Then, Ballad of a Thin Man. Not one song from 1963. Not one song about war or injustice or freedom. The audience yells for the old material. Dylan plays louder. Halfway through, like a rolling stone, someone near the front throws something at the stage. Dylan does not flinch. He finishes the song and walks off. The encore is It's All Over Now, Baby Blue. Still not a protest song. The crowd boos through the final verse. Backstage, a reporter asks why Dylan refused to play his early material. Dylan's response, I play what I want to play. But the audience came to hear those songs. Then they came to the wrong show. The tension at Forest Hills is not new. It has been building for 18 months. By August 1965, Dylan's refusal to perform his protest songs has become a public conflict with economic, artistic, and political dimensions. The folk community accuses him of abandoning the movement. Audiences walk out of concerts. Critics call him a sellout. Dylan keeps playing new material and says nothing that clarifies his position. The break begins quietly in late 1963. Dylan releases The Times They Are A-Changin'. In January 1964, it is his most explicitly political album. The title track is embraced by civil rights organizers. The lonesome death of Hattie Carroll is used at protests. Dylan performs the songs at concerts and hates it. In a December 1963 speech at the National Emergency Civil Liberties Committee, Dylan tells an audience of liberal activists, I got to admit that the man who shot President Kennedy, Lee Oswald, I saw some of myself in him. The room goes silent. Dylan continues, I don't think the fight is to overthrow the government. I think it's to overthrow oneself. He is booed off stage. Pete Seeger, present that night, later said, That was when I realized Bob wasn't going to stay in the box we'd built for him. But the box is not only ideological, it is contractual. By 1964, Dylan's concert bookings are managed by Albert Grossman, who negotiates fees based on Dylan's reputation as the voice of the folk protest movement. Festival organizers pay premium rates because Dylan brings audiences who want political music. In spring 1964, Grossman books Dylan for a tour of colleges and folk festivals, with the understanding that he will perform songs from the freewheelin' Bob Dylan and The Times They Are A-Changin'. Dylan agrees. Then he stops playing them. At a concert in Denver on March 14, 1964, Dylan opens with The Times They Are A-Changin', but plays it faster and without the reverential tone audiences expect. Then he plays 5 new songs no one has heard, then It Ain't Me Babe, which sounds like a rejection rather than a protest. Then he leaves the stage. The encore is Mr. Tambourine Man, a song about nothing political. A local review says, Dylan seemed bored with his own material. Joan Baez, who toured with Dylan in 1964, recalled, he'd do Blowin' in the Wind at the start of the set, almost like an obligation. Then he'd play all the new stuff. You could feel the audience getting restless. They wanted the protest songs. he didn't want to give them. In April 1964, a journalist asks Dylan if he still considers himself a protest singer. Dylan: "No." "What is he then?" "A singer. But his songs have messages." Dylan: "No, they don't. People put messages in them, but I don't." The journalist tries again, but Masters of War is clearly a protest against. Dylan interrupts: "It's a song, that's all." The same month, Phil Ochs, a younger protest singer, publishes an article praising Dylan's political commitment. Ochs writes, "Dylan has given voice to a generation's anger." When Dylan reads it, he tells a friend, "Phil doesn't get it. I'm not trying to give voice to anything. I'm just writing songs." By summer 1964, the pattern is established. Festival organizers book Dylan expecting protest material. Dylan arrives and plays new songs. Audiences complain. Organizers ask him to play the old material. Dylan refuses or agrees, and then sabotages the performance. At the Newport Folk Festival in July 1964, Dylan performs "All I Really Want to Do" and "It Ain't Me, Babe." Both songs are personal, not political. The crowd is confused. Alan Lomax, who helped organize the festival, later said, "We brought Bob back thinking he'd lead the protest movement. Instead, he played love songs. We didn't know what to do with him. What they do is confront him." After the Newport performance, several folk musicians, including Pete Seeger and Ronnie Gilbert, sit down with Dylan and ask him directly, "Why won't you play the protest songs?" Dylan's answer, according to Gilbert, "Because I don't feel them anymore." Can't he play them anyway? No. The refusal has consequences. In August 1964, Grossman starts receiving calls from festival organizers who want assurances that Dylan will perform his political material. Grossman cannot provide those assurances. Some festivals reduce their offers, others cancel bookings. Grossman negotiates new contracts that do not specify song selection, but the fees are lower. Dylan does not seem to care about the economic impact. In a September 1964 interview, he is asked if he worries about losing his audience. Dylan: "No." "Why not?" "Because if they only like me for those songs, then they don't really like me." But the structure of the folk music economy depends on artists fulfilling audience expectations. By 1964, Dylan's reputation is built on topical songs. Concert promoters advertise him as a protest singer. Radio stations play "The Times They Are Changin'" during civil rights coverage. When Dylan stops performing that material, he breaks an implicit contract with everyone who invested in his political image. Erwin Silber, editor of Sing Out. The leading folk music magazine publishes an open letter to Dylan in November 1964. Silber writes, "I saw at Newport how you had somehow lost contact with people. The paraphernalia of fame was getting in the way." He accuses Dylan of abandoning political commitment for commercial success. The letter is widely read in folk circles. Dylan does not respond publicly. Privately, he tells a friend, "Erwin can think whatever he wants. I'm not going back." By early 1965, Dylan has essentially stopped playing his protest songs live. "Blowin' in the Wind" appears occasionally, usually at the start of a set, played quickly and without emotion. "The Times They Are Changin' is gone. Masters of War is gone. A Hard Rain's a Gonna Fall is gone. The new material, songs from Bringing It All Back Home and the not yet released Highway 61 Revisited, is electric, surreal, and personal. Audiences do not know what to make of it. At a concert in Santa Monica on March 27, 1965, someone yells for "The Times They Are Changin'." Dylan stops between songs and says, "I don't play that anymore." "Why not?" "Because I'm not interested in it." The exchange is reported in the Los Angeles Times. Folk musicians read it as a betrayal. The Newport Folk Festival on July 25, 1965, becomes the most public confrontation. Dylan performs an electric set with a rock band. The audience boos. The festival board is divided. Pete Seeger reportedly says backstage, "If I had an axe, I'd cut the cable right now." The controversy is framed as about electric instruments, but the deeper issue is song selection. Dylan plays Maggie's Farm, Like a Rolling Stone, and It Takes a Lot to Laugh, It Takes a Train to Cry. Not one protest song. The folk community interprets this as Dylan rejecting not just acoustic music, but political music entirely. After Newport, Dylan is asked repeatedly why he went electric. He answers that question. But he is rarely asked the more fundamental question, why did you stop playing protest songs? When he is asked, his answers are evasive or hostile. In a radio interview on August 12, 1965, a DJ asks if Dylan will ever perform Masters of War again. Dylan, "I don't think so." "Why not?" "Because I've moved on." "From what?" "From that." The DJ presses, "But those songs meant something to people." Dylan, "They can still listen to the records." The economic consequences intensify. By fall 1965, Dylan is touring with a full electric band. The costs are higher. The audiences are smaller. Many folk fans refuse to attend. Concert reviews are hostile. A review of a Chicago concert on November 26, 1965 says, "Dylan has betrayed the movement that made him." Dylan reads some of the reviews but does not change his set list. In a backstage conversation after the Chicago show, someone asks Dylan if he understands why people are upset. Dylan, "Yeah, I understand. They wanted me to stay the same. I didn't want to stay the same. But don't you have a responsibility to the movement?" Dylan looks directly at the person. "I never signed up for the movement. You put me there." This becomes Dylan's consistent position. He did not choose to be a protest singer. The folk community and media assigned him that role. He performed it for a while because it coincided with what he was writing, but by 1964, he was writing different songs. The expectation that he continue performing old material is, in his view, asking him to be dishonest. Nat Hentoff, interviewing Dylan in October 1965, asks about the protest song issue. Dylan, "Those songs were okay when I wrote them, but I don't feel that way anymore, so I'm not going to sing them." Hentoff, "But they're still relevant." Dylan, "Then someone else should sing them." The refusal is not absolute. Dylan occasionally includes Blowin' in the Wind or Mr. Tambourine Man in acoustic sets, but he plays them mechanically, without commitment. Audiences notice. A fan who attended a November 1965 concert in Boston later wrote, "When he played Blowin' in the Wind, it felt like he was doing us a favor, like he was bored with it. We were excited to hear it, but he clearly wasn't excited to play it." By December 1965, the conflict has settled into an uneasy equilibrium. Dylan plays his new material. Some audiences boo, some walk out, some adapt. The folk community continues to criticize him. Dylan continues to refuse explanation or apology. At a press conference in Denver on December 10, 1965, a journalist asks if Dylan feels any obligation to play the songs that made him famous. Dylan, "No," the journalist persists. "But don't you owe something to the fans who supported you?" Dylan, "I don't owe anybody anything. I play what I want to play." The statement is reported as arrogance, but it reflects a structural reality. By late 1965, Dylan has enough commercial success that he does not need to perform the protest songs to fill venues. Highway 61, Revisited, is selling well. Like a Rolling Stone is a hit. His audience is shifting from folk purists to rock fans. The economic pressure to perform old material is diminishing. but the psychological pressure remains. In a conversation filmed by D.A. Pennebaker during the 1966 UK tour, Dylan talks about the expectation that he play his early songs. "They act like I'm betraying them," he says, "but I'm not betraying them. I'm just not that person anymore." In April 1966, during a concert in Liverpool, someone yells for "The times they are a-changin'." Dylan stops and says into the microphone, "That's a different guy." The audience laughs uncertainly. Dylan does not laugh. He plays Ballad of a Thin Man. The most famous confrontation happens at the Manchester Free Trade Hall on May 17, 1966. Between songs, someone in the audience yells, "Judas!" Dylan responds, "I don't believe you." Then to the band, "Play it fucking loud." They launch into Like a Rolling Stone. The entire exchange is captured on tape. It becomes one of the defining moments of Dylan's career, but it is not about going electric. It is about refusing to be what others need him to be. Robbie Robertson, Dylan's guitarist during the 1966 tour, later said, "Every night someone would yell for the old songs. Bob would ignore them. The more they yelled, the louder we played. It was like a war." By mid-1966, Dylan has played hundreds of concerts without performing "The Times They Are A-Changin'," "Masters of War," or "A Hard Rain's A Gonna Fall." The protest songs are gone from his live repertoire. He has replaced them with electric rock songs that critics call incomprehensible and fans call brilliant or terrible depending on which side of the divide they occupy. In June 1966, a journalist asks Dylan if he will ever return to political music. Dylan: "I never left political music. All music is political." The journalist tries to clarify, "But will you write protest songs again?" Dylan: "I don't write protest songs. I write songs." The distinction is important to Dylan. In his view, he never stopped writing political music. Songs like Desolation Row and Highway 61 Revisited contain social critique, but they are not slogans. They do not offer clear messages or call anyone to action. The folk community cannot use them at rallies. So they are deemed apolitical, and Dylan is deemed a sellout. The motorcycle accident on July 29, 1966, ends the immediate conflict. Dylan withdraws from touring. For 8 years, he does not perform regularly. When he returns to live performance in 1974, the protest songs are still absent from most set lists. By then, the folk movement has moved on. New protest singers have emerged. Dylan's refusal to play the old songs is no longer a betrayal. It is just a fact. In a 1978 interview, Dylan is asked why he stopped playing the protest songs. He pauses. "I didn't stop playing them. I just stopped playing them live." Why? Because I didn't want to pretend I felt something I didn't feel. In 1984, reflecting on the mid-1960s, Dylan says, "People wanted me to be their spokesman. I never wanted that. When I stopped playing those songs, it was like I was firing them, and they didn't like it." In 1991, during a brief acoustic tour, Dylan plays "The Times They Are A-Changin'" for the first time in over 20 years. A reviewer writes, "He sang it like he was reading someone else's old diary." Dylan does not play it again for another 5 years. The protest songs remain part of Dylan's legacy, but they are no longer his songs in the way they were in 1963. They belong to the audiences, the movement, the historical moment. Dylan has moved on. The refusal to play them live was not a single decision, but a long process of detachment. He did not announce it. He did not explain it. He simply stopped. Forest Hills, New York, August 28, 1965. Late evening. The tennis stadium is half empty. The audience that stayed for the electric set leaves angry. Backstage, someone from the festival committee tells Dylan the show was a disaster. Dylan is changing his shirt. He does not respond. Will he at least play Blowin' in the Wind at the next show? Dylan looks at the man for the first time. No. The man asks, why not? Dylan picks up his jacket and walks toward the exit. Because I don't feel like it. Outside, a few fans are waiting. One asks if he will play the old songs tomorrow. Dylan does not stop walking. The question follows him to the car. He does not answer. He does not have to. The answer is no. It has been no for months. It will remain no. The songs are still out there, on records in people's memories. But Dylan is done performing them. He is done being that person. The door closes. The car pulls away. Somewhere, someone is singing "The Times They Are a-Changin'." It is not Bob Dylan.